Okay, Mr. Burden, thank you so much for, can we bring the microphone like right here so that people can hear you?
New microphones.
How's that?
Very fancy.
Awesome.
Microphones.
Today you're applying for a position on the Historical Commission,
Yes.
and we thank you for coming out today. The way this works is we typically ask you a few questions. Assuming everything goes well, you'll hear at the end of the meeting. You're welcome to stay the whole meeting if you want to see what have you, or you can watch at home if you choose. With that, I'll actually let Supervisor McCartney go first.
Thank you. Thank you for throwing your name in the hat. What exactly interests you in the Historical Commission and made you apply for the committee?
Yeah. So I've always been a big buff on history. So I've restored a couple 18th century houses. So I do woodworking. So I build reproduction furniture. So I kind of live the historical part. Big rich history here. I'm relatively new to the area, and I want to give back to the community, and have history keep alive, kept alive over the course of while I'm here. So
Excellent. Thank you. That's all I have.
Supervisor Blendy?
Well, hello.
hi.
You might be joining the commission at just the best time because, as you may know, we are getting ready to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary, which we
Yep.
had to come up with a quick shorthand way of saying. Haven't come up with it bicentennial and a half. And they are looking for somebody who might help be the point person on the committee, to think about how we might showcase what our role or what was happening here 250 years ago. So, with all that said, have you had a chance to watch any of the meetings, or?
I was there last week when they
Okay.
actually discussed that.
Okay.
Some ideas that were tossed around for that.
And that hasn't scared you off?
No.
Excellent.
No. I'm in advertising. I'm a copywriter or a creative director, so I can write and do all sorts of stuff. So I'm used to publicity and creating.
With that, I call the
events.
vote. Excellent. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
helping.
Supervisor Ross?
I have no questions, but thank you for applying.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I'm curious, what agency do you, or who do you do copywriting for?
I actually work for an agency out of New York that represents a drug company, Merck. Keytruda is the product that we promote to physicians.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah, so.
And that commission is one of our most active. So you're joining an excellent group of folks who have done amazing stuff in just the last couple years. So thank you so much for coming out today. And we look forward to, well, I don't want to prejudge, but look forward to you joining the commission.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, David.
Thanks. With that, we'll begin the formal meeting. I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Supervisor McCartney?
Present.
Supervisor Grenier is in Florida on client business and cannot join us. Hopefully, he's enjoying his time there. Supervisor Blendy?
Here?
Supervisor Ross?
Here.
With that, we have established a quorum, and I'm going to begin with community announcements. And a reminder, this portion of the agenda is available for folks if they want to call in a special announcement for things that are occurring in the township that can be added to the agenda. Again, if you have free time on the weekends and would like to volunteer your time, you can join the Friends of 5 Mile Woods Cleanup Days. They're held the second Saturday of the month at 5 Mile Woods, starting at 8:30 a.m. Please bring comfortable clothes and work gloves. The day will include litter cleanup, trail lining, and pruning. If you've got questions, reach out to Monica Tierney. You can reach her at monica@lmt.org. The next Township Yard Waste Day will be this Saturday, September 21st, from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Township Building, 1100 Edgewood Road. That's right here. For more information, you can view the calendar on the website. Lower Makefield Shopping Center is hosting a Harvest Festival this Saturday, September 21st, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 700 Stony Hill Road, Yardley. For more information, You can visit our website calendar at lmt.org if you want to participate. It's Property Events Manager, MGR, at yahoo.com or 775-250-7908. And there'll be a free shredding event in the pool parking lot, that's 1050 Edgewood Road, on Saturday, September 28th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you want to register, you can go to shredbucks.com. Lower Makefield's Environmental Advisory Council and Birdtown will be hosting a Hummingbird presentation from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturday, September 28th. Now remember, you can go to the shredding event, and then right from there, you can go to the Hummingbird presentation from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturday, September 28th at the Lower Makefield Township Community Center. Now, it's just across the street there. Lower Makefield's Environmental Advisory Council is hosting another falconry visit. Oh my gosh, a second falconry visit. If you missed the first one, this is your chance to catch the second one. Holy cow. With Master Falconer Gregory Wojtera at Memorial Park, 1950 Woodside Road, Yardley, Pennsylvania, on Saturday, October 5th at 3 p.m. That's right, 3 p.m. October 26th, the 11th annual Slay Sarcoma 5K Run Walk will be held at Core Creek Park in Langhorne. The event is to raise awareness and research funding for leiomyosarcoma. There should be about 500 race participants. You definitely want to be a part of that. And Lower Makefield Township's hosting a blood drive on Friday, November 1st from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the meeting room in the Township Building. Now, the best way to do this is go to redcrossblood.org, redcrossblood.org, enter sponsor code Lower Makefield. There you can actually select your appointment time and get reminders. It works very well. If you're a frequent blood contributor, it's ideal. And one last thing before we start with public comment is, as always, there are positions open on many boards and commissions, including there is now an opening on the golf committee. So if you haven't thought about participating in township government, the door is always open for folks. You can visit lmt.org if you want to apply. Just send an email at admin@lmt.org. And with that, we'll begin agenda item number 5, and that's public comment on non-agenda items. So if you have public comment on something that's not on the agenda, this is your time to come up and share that with us. Do you want to just walk up as well, to come in line? And please state your name and whether you're a resident of Lower Makefield Township or not.
Sure. My name is Bill Gabota. I live on 1230 Ash Lane in the township. It's just if you will, a word of praise for you guys. You seem to be communicating with us so much more freely than was happened before. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, Lee Pedowitz, 247 Truman Way. I'm a resident of Lower Makefield Township. Good evening, Chair Lewis, supervisors, Chief Galuzzi, and other Lower Makefield Township officials. At the past 3 meetings, I have brought up ordinance and code violations that were overlooked in the design and construction of the Regency at Yardley development. These ordinance and code violations affect the safety and welfare of all the residents in the 377 homes that make up the community. As a tax-paying resident of Lower Makefield Township, I asked for letters from the board explaining what is or will be done to correct these violations, and I was told that I wouldn't be receiving any and never have. I am anxious to have the matter of the gate installations and the associated ordinance violations resolved. Tonight, as a tax-paying resident of Lower Makefield Township, I am asking the board to have the town engineer inspect all the entrances and exits at both the carriage side of the development and the villas side of the development for adherence to and compliance with the 2000 International Fire Code, which was mandated by Township Ordinance 112-1, fire prevention, and in effect at the time of design and construction of the community. Ordinance 112-1 stipulates adherence to the 2000 International Fire Code, not the 2018 International Fire Code, as has been brought up repeatedly. There are differences between the two, the latter negatively affecting emergency vehicle access. I want the engineer to report whether the gates and their associated island installations are in compliance or not, and explain the reasons for his or her determination. I also expect the determination to consider that all the entrances and exits are intended to be gated. That should be reflected in the report. Township Ordinance 178-38K1 stipulates safe and convenient access for emergency vehicles. I've repeatedly mentioned that we wouldn't be having this discussion if the in-force ordinances at the time of design and construction were adhered to, as all ordinances should be. Not having gates and their associated island obstructions is safer and more convenient for emergency apparatus ingress and egress than having an entrance with gates and their associated obstructions, which present a hindrance to a responding piece of apparatus, even if it can ultimately get in. Having gates and their associated islands at the Regency at Yardley developments violates the ordinances above. I am vigorously pursuing this because getting it resolved can only protect the residents of the Regency at Yardley and ultimately Lower Makefield Township from safety, financial, and legal liabilities. It would benefit both the township and the residents of the Regency at Yardley if this could be resolved without having to resort to legal action. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks. Is there any other public comment?
Hello, good evening. Larissa Luzecki, Lower Makefield. I just have one question. I'm inquiring about the grant that was requested by Congressman Fitzpatrick's office to help with our flooding issue. Any word about that?
Nothing sort of definitive at this point, other than I think I might have previously reported that the grant had gone through the initial review process. It has been incorporated into federal legislation at this point. So the benefit of that is the project's not being evaluated on its own merit. It's now being evaluated as sort of one of the projects that qualifies and is in that larger sort of bill. So it's either sort of a yes or no vote. And so while history is no indication of what will happen in the future, generally when that's occurred, the U.S. Congress has gotten together and affirmatively passed that. So I think we're well positioned, but don't have anything official at this point in terms of the award.
So playing devil's advocate, if that does not come through, where does that leave us? I mean, I don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. But
yeah, I mean, we continue to pursue other funding sources as funding sources become available. Obviously there's investment occurring with the Highland Drive improvement that's probably going to be a topic, I would imagine, of the Township Engineers report today. Just an update there, and so we'll continue to look for all available resources, both internal here at the township, but also external as well.
And that includes the land studies recommendations. I'm thinking like level 2 and level 3, I guess.
Yeah, and there is, again, we're sort of jumping around, but I think there was a couple meetings ago, the Board of Supervisors did authorize essentially a change of scope to land studies work to do additional evaluation upstream of the Maplevale neighborhood, which again will ultimately prevent flow from reaching that point. So, again, we continue to look at it on sort of a watershed level, and we're hopeful that we'll see some real meaningful changes moving forward with some of these funding decisions that are coming out. So, and I know the board continues to prioritize this work.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I do want you to know that the congressman was at Slate Hill Cemetery on Saturday. The Historical Commission received 2 awards, actually, and he remains very optimistic. So hopefully, as he said, history does not predict our future, but
Plus, it's an election year, which is...
I don't know what to make of that comment, but he remains optimistic, so I remain optimistic.
Well, we're moving forward, so here's hoping. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Is there any comment from the phone or online at all? All right, not hearing any. We're going to move on to agenda item 6. This is the consent agenda items. Now, the way this works is any member can remove something from the consent agenda if they have any concerns or questions about any of the items. Absent that, the board can elect to approve all the consent agenda items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, with that, call the question. All those in favor of the consent agenda items as listed signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect that those items passed unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 7, community development. Acknowledge and accept a grant of extension of time to October 16th regarding the 1511 Linderhurst Road subdivision.
So moved.
Any comments, questions, concerns, public comment? Not hearing any. I'll call the question. All those in favor of extending the time to October 16th regarding the 1511 Lindenhurst subdivision signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item 8, engineers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For this evening, we have 2 items, the first of which is a financial security release request. This is for the Prickett Preserve land development, and just to clarify, it's 2 separate securities for that. There's the residential portion and the commercial portion. Before you this evening is the residential portion. It is one request for all of their financial security. It's also their final request, so all the work's been completed, verified in the field, and before you is their financial security release, number 1/final. Their total financial security they had posted with their development approval for the residential portion is $2,191,200. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. With that, just one, again, clarifying point. This refers to the residential section of Prickett Preserve, which has been largely complete, and folks live in there now. It does not reflect the commercial portion on which there's still construction. Do you have a rough idea on how much is left on the commercial side?
They still have a few pad sites. If you've been over that way, a few of the restaurants, they're still building around the Wegmans area. So only the Wegmans portion pretty much has been the release to date. But that portion, I think, is in the ballpark of about $7 million total they had on financial security. So they have a bit of ways before they complete that part.
Excellent. Any questions from anyone? Supervisor Blendy?
Yeah, have you had a chance to look at the plantings around the residential area? I know, not everything that we plant necessarily survives. This has been a rough summer. I just want to make sure that we get whatever we're owed replaced as quickly as possible.
Yes, and what happens with the residential developments, they do have a maintenance period that goes into effect when they're completed the construction, which they'll be in the case if there's plantings or something that doesn't quite make it, as it should over a season or 2. So that'll be, observed as it goes, and if they need to replant some trees, they'll be on the hook to do that.
So, I know there's at least one dead tree.
Okay.
Over there. Will that get replaced this fall, or do we wait until the end and then replace whatever's dead?
It's usually the planting season, so they would, look to do that this fall, I would think, and that way it would be in good shape to, be healthy going forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other supervisor comments, public comment? Anybody online not seeing the light flashing? With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor of financial security release 1 final to Shady Brook Investors LP for the Prickett Preserve at Edgewood Residential in the amount of $2,191,200 even. Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let the record reflect that I can not speak well tonight, and the motion passed 4-0. Moving on to general project updates.
Yes, the engineer's report with project updates is included with your packet. The township manager mentioned the Highland Drive project for an update, so we'll provide that one. The latest with that, we met with the resident at 1 Highland Drive, whose property has a portion of that as part of the project, just to coordinate final work along the stream bank, some discussion on some of the plantings that would be part of the final layout, as well as the easements that are associated with that. So the project was authorized for the bidding phase at a previous meeting in December. So as soon as this final coordination is done with the property owner, we'll look to provide some advertisement dates to the staff and to the board, and we'll look to have that public bidding process started. So we're hopeful for that, within this month as we look forward. And then on the utility side, PECO has their new pole in there. Verizon's got to move their equipment. They're tentatively scheduled for September 30th to remove the old pole equipment, and we'll keep pushing them on that. Hopefully that date holds true for their schedule. Any other projects, be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
On the Woodside bike path, do we have, where are we on the pole replacement there?
So Comcast was finishing their work. They ran into delays with what they expected as far as how long they were going to be out there. Verizon is working with the tail end of that as well as their equipment, and they removed the old poles. So originally their schedule they gave us, they had completing by early September. It looks like it'll probably be more towards the end of September / early October. And with that, we have the pricing provided by the contractor for the remaining work on the trail itself. That is pending those poles getting out of there. And there's also a grant opportunity that we're waiting to hear from that you wouldn't be able to be reimbursed for costs prior to the grant award. The anticipated grant award dates for that are most likely in November. So with township staff, we had determined that would be kind of the next step in the construction area of things. With that grant funding, hopefully we receive positive information to have some nice funding provided to help with the remaining work there.
Any other comments, public comment? Seeing, hearing, oh, Mr., come on down.
Bill Gabota, Lower Makefield. Perhaps I've missed this, but how is the Woodside path going to connect up to the path on the other side of Taylorsville Road?
That's a great question. There's a project by itself that's the connection, because that's a PennDOT intersection that requires the permitting with them. So that is underway. We're looking to set up a meeting with PennDOT to discuss any particulars about their permit requirements. We've submitted the scoping application, which is their first step to have that conversation. And we have a preliminary layout to discuss with them, and that would move along on its own project timeline. So it's hopeful that would be something that we'll look to have in construction as we go into 2025.
I'm interested in how are we going to get people across Taylorsville? Because that's a very, very, very busy intersection.
It is. That's exactly what the permitting is looking at. And the layout would involve, obviously, that corner where the Woodside Road path ends now at the bottom of the hill. And you know that the Joint Toll Bridge Commission is kind of on the catty corner.
Yep.
So it would look to cross Taylorsville Road first, and it would involve all the safety measures that our office and also PennDOT requires as far as being able to make it all the way across with the signal timing and everything that goes along with that. Then from there, cyclists and pedestrians would cross Woodside to get to the Joint Toll Bridge Commission corner and connect into the trail to go further from there.
So we have, if you're going down the hill, you have a trail that ends on this side. And then, as you said, catty corner across, you have where the Joint Toll Bridge Commission path ends. Are you going to cross catty corner or cross Woodside and then back over Taylorsville? Because, there's, as I say, there's a lot of traffic there.
There is, yeah. It would be an L shape. It wouldn't go directly across,
Okay.
and that would allow folks to either, do one leg at a time, but the Taylorsville Road obviously is the more, the busier leg of it. And also, we looked at the other connections of the other corners. That right turn, if you've done that a bunch of times coming down Woodside, that pretty much goes right into the on-ramp
Yes.
for 295. So we don't want to have pedestrians and cyclists involved in any of that movement. So this is the proper way to cross, and it would be timed and sequenced so you
So
could
you'd have a
take it
demand
legs.
button or something like there for that.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. I will be very interested to see how it develops. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other updates? Not seeing any more comments. Move on to agenda item 9, manager's report.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The first item is just to discuss a proposed budget calendar for the adoption of for the consideration and adoption of the 2025 fiscal budget for the township, and most importantly, scheduling of budget workshops. The calendar that was provided as part of your packet is proposing workshops on the dates of your second October meeting, so that would be October the 16th of 2024, and then November 6th at 2024 as well. Again, those coincide with your regularly scheduled meeting. So just wanted to have a general discussion on whether that works from a schedule perspective for members of the board, and then also discuss specifically what time you would want to commence those budget workshops on those dates, if that works. So really opening it up for conversation amongst members of the board.
Yeah, I was going to say on the October 16th, obviously the start date of the meeting 7:30. If it could be that time or later, that'd be ideal as part of that time.
Okay. All right. So the Chair, you're suggesting that we just use the normal regularly scheduled meeting as to talk about the budget. Is that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
If we think that on November 6th that we need additional time, perhaps we could start early on that.
Okay.
On November 6th. The one challenge with November 6th for those, it's the day after Election Day.
Sure.
So many people might be pretty tired after Election Day, but it's certainly that's an option. Would anybody, if we were to have it earlier on the 6th, would that be a problem with anybody?
Again, you could
Not sure, but
you could delay that. I'm sorry to interrupt. You could delay that decision. Again, if the intent is to try to conduct these during a normal session, there would be no additional advertising requirement because you've already advertised those meetings on the 16th and the 6th. To the extent that you determine that after the discussion on the 16th that you wanted to schedule something at a different time on the 6th, we would still be able to advertise and meet the statutory requirements as it relates to scheduling of a special meeting, which only requires 24-hour notice prior to the conduct of that meeting. So we could, again, if the consensus is to try to use those two existing township meetings to not only conduct regular business, but also discuss the 2025 budget, we could do that. And again, you could sort of evaluate progress after the 16th and see where you're at as it relates to the 6th or another date if that was the decision of the board.
Is everyone generally comfortable with that? Because of the discussion, I'm seeing nods of yeses. No one has any public comment? No one on the phone? Do we want to, we'll go with that for now? We can always
so,
change up.
Yeah, given that decision, there's no action that would be needed in terms of authorization to advertise, because again, those meetings are already advertised, and we'll wait to see if we need something else moving forward as we progress. So.
Awesome. On anything else?
Yeah, just one general update. Something that was discussed at the last meeting was the concept of doing a joint fire services study with Yardley Borough. And Yardley Borough last evening did discuss the matter and are supportive of proceeding. So the next step on that, as I might have mentioned before, is that there's a simple letter of intent that you would have to submit to, or that we would have to submit to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development's local Governor's Center for Local Government Services. We would prepare that for your consideration at your meeting on October the 2nd, and we would just at that point just need a simple motion to acknowledge that you're interested in submitting that application for technical assistance. And we would also advise Yardley as well that that's the step that they need to take to formalize the application to the department. So. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions they may have on other things.
Any questions? All right. Moving on to agenda item 10, Parks and Recreation, general update.
Yeah, so Monica is remote this evening. She is on the phone. I can sort of jump in, though. Oh, you're there? Okay.
Yeah, I am. Hi, everyone. How are you?
we're good.
So today, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I can't see the rest of the meeting when I'm on here, so I'm sorry. So I just have a couple things to go over today. Two are events that are coming up that weren't on the list earlier. One is the Monster Mash, which is Friday, October 6th. It's a lot of fun, costumes, not required, but we do love a good costume. We do have costume contests. We will have a DJ. We'll have great Halloween decorations, food, glow sticks, the whole 9 yards. It'll be a lot of fun. Please bring your family. So it starts at 6 p.m. and we look forward to having you there. The next one we've been doing for 4 years now is the 5K Anyway Color Run. That race is it's ADA friendly. We've had people in wheelchairs, we've had people in walkers, we've had people finish the race any way they can. We've also had competitive runners in that race. It is a color run. And the goal of the race is to raise money for the community fund for the ADA transition plan projects within the parks. So please, if you have not participated before, consider signing up. And if you are able to sponsor, we do appreciate sponsors too. Everything that we make in excess of our costs go back to ADA projects in the parks. So please sign up if you haven't already, and you can go to our website to sign up for that, or you can just Google Lower Makefield Township 5K Anyway 2024, and it comes right up first thing. And everything else, the Memorial Park projects that we talked about last week, those are still on track the same way. The only one thing that I haven't brought to your attention is that we do have the artist who is going to be painting a couple pieces at the park that are worn down. He will be starting this week, so we will have a couple pieces blocked off throughout the week. While he paints, he'll be painting the ant, the bee, and the table and chairs. And they're going to look very nice. He did do one of the ducks in Yardley Borough, so he knows, he can do a great job. And I'm really looking forward to seeing progress on that.
Excellent. Is there any supervisor questions or comments?
Yeah, it is. It's a good time to. So the board's aware of a current situation down at Macclesfield on Mondays and Wednesdays that's causing significant backup along River Road. In spring of 2023, the Park and Rec Board recommended that the flow around the turf field be turned into one-way. And I think what we're seeing is that it's causing huge queues and backups along Macclesfield. I'm asking for consensus of the board, I guess, to undo that until we figure out a better way to manage that. So that would entail the township going out, taking out the one-way arrows, and then removing the one-way signs around that area.
Consensus.
That was it. That's all I have.
Okay, we'll proceed with that consensus.
Thanks.
With that, we'll move on to agenda item 11, Public Works. And we'll start with A, consider approval of proposal from Violytics Road Management Assessment Tool.
Good evening, supervisors. The first item we have this evening is the consideration of a proposal by Violytics, and they're actually here tonight. So it's a roadway management assessment tool. So Isaac's team actually brought this to our attention. It is a AI-driven, iPhone-driven assessment for all the roadways. So we would sign a proposal with Violytics, and they give us, basically, we would utilize iPhones, the workers, the crews, things like that would have iPhones. It takes videos of the roadways throughout the township. It'll do a whole AI assessment of it to give us a condition assessment of the roads, where we're at, things like that. So I don't want to speak about, if there's any questions about the technology of it, I don't know. But we did assess it. We did a quick loop of a couple roads here. The information that we got back in a matter of seconds was phenomenal. It's a great planning tool. I know right now we have a 3-year potential proposal with Violytics. Whether we do all 3 years or a year and we don't like it, we get rid of them, is fine. But I think we should give it a shot. It's a lot of information that we could gather real fast, and it's real life versus doing next level survey or analysis that, if we do something on a road and patch it, if we drive that road and upload an image, we have that road is now a new condition. So it's nonstop that we can keep, driving the roads that we own and things like that. So again, I don't know if you have any questions or for Violytics here.
Hi, my name is Daniel Lawfer. I'm a senior manager at Violytics. Thank you for having me this evening. Are there any questions about the tool or the technology? Perhaps I can provide a brief insight about it.
Actually, it'd probably be good if you gave us like a quick, I don't want to say, like 3-minute overview. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, short story at Violytics, we are an AI-powered road and asset.
We need you to get a little closer to the mic.
Absolutely. Violytics, we are an AI-driven road and asset management tool that's primarily used by mounting a mobile device, an iPhone, into the windshield of any municipal vehicle and going for a drive. As the user drives the vehicle, the iPhone will take a picture of the road every 10 to 12 feet. Violytics, we use those images using AI. We will automatically detect any distresses within the surface of the roadway, identifying in an objective scale up to 15 classes of damage within the surface, as well as identifying how severe that damage is as well. In addition to doing a condition assessment on the surface of the roadway, we will also actively maintain inventory of all manholes, catch basins, and street signs that exist within the township, as well as identify any new damage that may begin to occur over the course of a winter season, over the course of a year as well. The technology itself, we were founded in Stuttgart, Germany in 2018, smack dab in their automotive innovation hub. Our two primary co-owners are Volkswagen and Scania truck manufacturer. Since our inception in the US, March, April of last year, a little bit more than a year, we've been growing very, very quickly. Lower Makefield would be our first township partner here in Pennsylvania, which is very exciting. We're already working with other boroughs, cities such as Lebanon, Chambersburg, Conshohocken, Mount Pocono, and our list of partners is strategically growing very excitingly. Any questions I may answer?
Just one additional bit of information. We did have some discussion with PennDOT about the permissibility of funding this through liquid fuels. Derek, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but it is a permissible expense.
Yeah, permissible expense to utilize liquid fuels funding for this service, and the liquid fuels fund is very healthy this year that we could supply out of that to pay for this service.
Can we talk about the cost?
Yeah, I don't, 168 is off the top of my head, so it's about $22,000, a little over $22,000. And then the township's additional cost would just be a couple more iPhones for the crews to have mounted in their truck to upload the images or to record the images. So for $22,000, the way we looked at it, or at least the way I looked at it, is we could spend that more than threefold by having someone physically drive it and non-biased analyze the roads, where this way it's $22,000. We do it as much as we want. One of the thought is if we can implement it fast enough, the leaf trucks are going out the road in a couple weeks, couple months, and Orem is going to drive every road there to get a quick assessment of the roads for really, it's not costing me any more guys on the road to do it. We just mount the videos or the cameras and we're going live, so.
And that's per annum,
I'm sorry.
per year? 22?
Per year,
Yeah.
Yeah, per year, sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, the other sort of discussion that we're having internally about potential use, and Dan can also speak to this, there have been communities that have used it on, I'll say, things other than roadway surfaces. So as you know, there's an extensive trail network in Lower Makefield Township that there's been investment, obviously, over the course of decades to create connectivity within the community. There's a lot of asset to be maintained there, and so there would be the ability to use, whether it's a golf cart or a gator or even a bicycle, to utilize this and capture that. And I don't think there's ever been that extent of assessment on the bike network. I think also mapping that information would be helpful to identify gaps and opportunities for additional connections moving forward. So beyond just the assessment of the roadway, there is also other uses that we could utilize the tool for.
You had me at Stuttgart. I make a motion to approve the proposal from Violytics for the road management assessment tool.
Second?
I don't see any public comment. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. We look forward to comparing our roads to Stuttgart very soon.
As soon as an Autobahn opens up in Lower Makefield, I'll be the first to
Oh,
drive it.
it
so.
has, we just don't acknowledge it.
A safe one, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you. They got a launch from Lower Makefield.
Derek, do you have any general updates that you'd like to
No,
cover?
just if the board
I
has
have a
anything
question.
for me.
Supervisor Blondie has a question for you?
Yeah, Derek, you know, I have emailed you in the not recent past, but definitely over the summer, I believe, about 295 and Taylorsville Road and what is going on with those lights.
The short answer is technology. It'd be the short answer. Those traffic signals are very advanced with the technology. They're probably the most technological traffic signal we have. So not only is there cameras mounted that do all their AI and give green lights, red lights to what flows, there's radar with them. Sometimes that technology is not the best, and some things are going bad in them quickly. So when something goes bad in it, when a camera goes bad in it, then the traffic signal defaults to its timing program, and then you'll see delays. So there was a couple parts that went bad over the last few weeks that our Armour & Sons has replaced. So it should go back to its AI-driven, analytics of giving green light time.
I'm still not sure that AI, if the parts are working correctly at night. Because it's the night that people are complaining to me about, that you're trying to come off the road and there's nobody around and...
So what'll happen is, and I did it a couple evenings myself, so if I came off 295 and sat at the ramp, if I missed it by a millisecond, it won't give me a green light right away because Taylorsville Road is the primary. So I think it's about a 6 second to 8 seconds, which at 2 o'clock in the morning felt like an eternity when there's no one coming. But just from a traffic standpoint, it can't give me that green light until it hits that minimum time to switch me back.
Did you say 6 seconds or 60 seconds?
6. I think it was 6 off the top of my head.
I don't know, but all right.
But yeah, I could double check and have Armour, confirm that everything's working because they can log in and just see all the logs.
I think our traffic engineer even got stuck there one night.
Yeah,
so.
it like I said, when the equipment goes wrong, it goes wrong and hurts. Yeah, it goes
Thank
back
you.
to default.
Thanks, Derek.
No worries.
Yeah, and so just sort of related to that issue, I don't know if you want to mention just any update regarding the sloughing that's occurring on Woodside and the restoration work that'll occur.
And I don't have the dates in front of me, but obviously it's part of their project when they widen Woodside Road, and as you brought to our attention before, the roadway sloughing on the right-hand decel lane off Woodside to Taylorsville. Joint Toll Bridge has agreed, obviously, to replace that section of roadway. They were planning on doing it in August. Their engineer and I agree with their engineer, one of the problems I thought happened is they paved it a little too quick, never got to fully cure. They don't want that to happen again, so they were trying to push for cooler season. I think right now they're looking at October, first week in October for doing that pavement. So it is going to be a nighttime pave operation, should take them one night. They're going to mill out all those lanes, repave them, have it open the next day for traffic, and then just stripe it during the day. So hopefully that'll be wrapped up before the winter season here.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions? Thank you, Supervisor.
So moving on to agenda item 12, Solicitor's Report, agenda item 12A.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In your packets is a resolution 24-22 authorizing the purchase of Knoll Drive. As soon as the resolution is passed, we will have the agreement of sale executed, and settlement can take place relatively soon.
So moved.
Second?
Just for information perspective, because people may be curious, can you tell the folks what we're paying for the property and what the rules are for what we're allowed to pay for the property?
Certainly. The agreement of sale is for a purchase price of $100,000. That is the appraised value of the property. We had an appraisal done on the property. By law, we are not permitted to pay more than the appraised value. We've negotiated with the seller. We are not paying transfer tax, so there's savings there. We've built that into the agreement. And we have performed our due diligence already, so we're comfortable moving forward with the agreement of sale.
Is there any public comments, questions, concerns?
Am I right in assuming that this is a first step? Oh, sorry.
Mr. Gabota, you live in Lower Makefield Township, correct?
Let me start all over again. My name is Bill Gabota.
Sorry.
I live on 1230 Ash Lane in the township. I beg your pardon. Am I right in assuming this is a first step toward acquiring more land to keep open in the township? Will you be doing more of it, is what I'm asking.
That is a supervisor question and answer, but I will tell you that this property that we are purchasing, Knoll Drive, is contiguous to property already owned by the township.
Nice.
So it's sort of like a puzzle piece. It fits into the puzzle nicely. It makes 3 separate parcels contiguous to each other, and the township will own a substantial portion. This property alone is about a little over 4 acres. And I should also mention that we are getting title insurance too, if anybody has any qualms about issues concerning title. So title insurance has been already ordered and will be in place at the time of purchase.
Excellent. I must say I'm very gratified that you're taking steps in this direction. We need to preserve what open space we still can. Thank you very much.
General updates?
General updates, I'll try to be quick. I believe I know in the past we've discussed that the sign ordinance is in front of you. And I know that it's not necessarily, or maybe it is bedtime reading because it will put you to sleep. However, we have been made aware of a recent court case that has come down that will require us to amend the sign ordinance that is in front of you.
Did we vote? We voted on that, right? On the approval for the open space purchase?
Oh, no, you did not. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I think I
that would
jumped
be
the gun.
my
No,
bad
I'm
for
sorry.
that.
You're right.
With
You
that,
have not.
pardon me, let me call the question.
apologize.
All those in favor of Resolution 24-22 authorizing the purchase of Knoll Drive property parcel 20-16-30-02 for open space preservation purposes and authorizing the chair or township manager to take any and all actions required to effectuate the purchase, signify by saying aye. Aye. Let the record reflect the passes 4-0. Sorry, that's
Thank you.
entirely my fault.
No,
I jumped the gun on that.
So getting back to the sign ordinance, so I would encourage you to put the sign ordinance aside for the time being, and let us do our due diligence evaluation of the case law and do a rewrite as necessary. Basically, the case law states that signs can't be content, you can't make distinctions based on content, i.e. Temporary signs have to be temporary signs. It doesn't matter if they're holiday signs or political signs, they all, you have to categorize certain things, you have to categorize things certain ways, so that's what we're going to do. So hopefully we will be able to do a rewrite that will make it much more orderly than we've already attempted to do. Just a reprieve for all of you not to review the sign ordinance at the current time. Historic building demolition ordinance is being reviewed. I believe that's before the Planning Commission, if I'm not mistaken. So they are reviewing that, and that will come before you soon. We've drafted a responsible contractor ordinance, and that will be ready for review soon. Again, lots of bedtime reading for all of you shortly. We were provided with a number of township agreements and contracts from Public Works, Park and Recreation, et cetera, that we've been tasked with reviewing. And then I think the task is really to get some consistency and formality to these agreements. And these agreements are agreements that the township has with either township committees or committees and constituents or entities outside the township that use township properties. So I think we have probably 20 or 25 in our possession right now. Again, we're just trying to bring some consistency and formality to them, so they're in the process of being rewritten. And then finally, with reference to the open space referendum, we have reviewed the contract that the township manager has mentioned in the past. Just got that over to him really today with our comments, but hopefully you'll be able to execute that in the very near future. And then you can begin the process of informing the electorate and the residents of the open space referendum and what it entails.
And we met in an executive session.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. The minutes shall reflect the supervisors present this evening, met in executive session prior to this Board of Supervisors meeting to discuss personnel issues and litigation matters. Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to agenda item 13, supervisors report. I don't have one. Supervisor Grenier's not with us and doesn't have one. Supervisor Ross?
No report?
Supervisor Blundy?
No report.
Supervisor McCartney?
No report.
With that, we'll move on to other business. Is there any other business?
Just generally, Chair, I just want the public to know that we are aware of issue relating to an unusual long-term, short-term housing situation going on. We were one of the first townships to really take an aggressive stance on making sure that people who wanted to do short-term rentals did it in a way that was appropriate and respectful to the community. We've amended the ordinance, I think, twice so far, and it may be that we have to go back for a third time. So we are aware, and we're looking to see what we can do to help address that situation.
Yep, and I concur on that, and we are actively looking at all options on that one. Any other business? Not seeing any. Moving on to agenda item 15, appointments or reappointments to boards and commissions. I'll start. I move that we nominate Mr. David Verdon for the Historical Commission.
So moved.
Any comments, questions? With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Maybe the new term for 250 centennial is just, Dave, or DV.
All righty. Do we have any other appointments to boards or commissions at this time?
You said it earlier, but it bears repeating. There is an opening on golf, so if you have interest in being part of the golf committee, now's your time. Submit that resume.
Did you want to cover the HRC ones?
Sure. I don't have all the names. Tampa. No, sorry.
Okay. Bear with me just a moment to make sure I've got everybody. So our plan this evening is we're going to make 5 nominations. I was having problems with the...
5 for standing members and then 2 for,
yeah.
what was the name?
Oh, you got it? Yeah. Sorry.
Alternate. That was the word. 5 for standing and 2 alternates.
Okay. I move the following people will be named as members of the Human Relations Commission. Amanda Soloway, Byron Feynman, Kathy Hanville, Stanley Chaikin, and Tara Friedman. So all of those would be members of this Human Relations Commission with Tara Friedman as the chair. And associate members or alternate members would be Victoria Schweider and Paul Bamburek. That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Okay. With that, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have that. That would be 4-0. At this time, moving on to agenda item 16, is there any additional public comment on non-agenda items? So this is an opportunity. If you missed it, this might be one of our quickest meetings ever. I'm going to be in trouble because I ruined it.
No, real quick, real quick. Lori Gray, I am a Lower Makefield Township resident, and just a quick question. Do we know what it cost to make Macclesfield Park one-way and what it's going to cost to make it go back to being two-way? Because I know there were signs and there was pavement and there was And I'm not saying it's a big cost, I'm just wondering what the cost is, and now we've got to go back and redo it, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah, I do not, I don't know what that cost is
Didn't think you
off
would.
the top of my head. I'm happy to try to follow up with that information. In terms of paving, there was no paving that was done. It was line striping and signage, is that correct?
And I think the sign is from the last time we tried this, and it failed
Oh, good,
miserably.
that's
So
good. I was
you know,
surprised, I mean,
We
I
don't
was-
We'll
throw
save
away
it for next
signs.
time.
We
Good,
yeah.
that's good
Yeah,
to know,
Derek has
because
a
I was
sign
surprised to
collection.
see all the signs up, and I thought the first time when I saw it, I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
wonder what that cost to do
No,
all
no.
that, but.
No, I would say, again, a little bit of labor time. Most of the signs were new. We actually we make all the signs here, but they would be recycled, put back in stock and used again. You know, same with the posts and poles. We'll salvage all that
Okay,
stuff.
I'm sure it's not a lot of money, I was
No,
just
no.
curious, though, as to what the cost was, so, okay. Thank you.
Derek, real quick, can we offer a timeline too, so that way Monica can spread the word to the league heads to let them know when a new traffic pattern and flow is going to be in effect? I'm already being asked.
It's 8:30 now,
We
Derek.
could start taking down signs tomorrow for you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night, Lori.
Not seeing any other public comment, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.